Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. If you're new to the channel, thanks for tuning in. And if you're not, thanks for returning. I appreciate it. So, on June the 4th, 1970 at around 6 p.m, Elvis entered RCA's Studio B in Nashville for what would be the first of 5 nights of recording. He would record from around 6 a.m. until the early hours of dawn on each of those nights, and that ended up producing no less than 35 masters, which would inform his next 3 albums. These were a very different set of recording sessions from those held a year and a half earlier at American Sound. Then he'd had Chips Moman in the role as producer. This time around, Elvis was very much in the driving seat, and the sessions have a real sort of looser freewheeling feel to them than the American sessions did, but both produced some fantastic music, and that's what I'd like to share today, some of the releases I have that feature the music from those sessions. Anyone that's watched my previous videos covering 1970 knows that I'm doing the best I can to steer clear of That's the Way It Is, because I do want to feature that in its own episode or 2 episodes, and that's the next ones I'll get to. So what I'm going to do today is talk about the other 2 albums other than That's the Way It Is, being Elvis Country and Love Letters from Elvis. Love Letters from Elvis has always been seen almost as the poorer cousin of the 3, the one that seemed to have the tracks that were left over put on it, but I never saw it that way. I absolutely adored that album when I first got it. I used to play it to death, and I still have a real soft spot for it. So I don't agree. I don't see Love Letters as the weaker of them. Undoubtedly, I think probably the strongest of them all is Elvis Country, because that's a pure studio album. That's the Way It Is does have some live tracks on it, so it's not a pure studio album as such. But yeah, it's a close call for me between the 2. I think they're equally brilliant, but in some ways I think Elvis Country just shades it, with one caveat that I'll get to, which may be controversial, I'm not sure, but you know, bear with. So right, I've got Elvis Country on vinyl. As those of you that have followed my channel from the start know, I've only recently started collecting vinyl for the 2nd time in earnest. So I don't yet have a copy of Elvis Love Letters, so if I got the vinyl out, I'd only have one to show you, and I don't think that's very illustrative. So I'm gonna stick purely in this case to CDs for this, and I'm going to start with the Legacy edition of Elvis Country, which I think is a great starting point, because you get both albums. You get Elvis Country and you get Love Letters from Elvis, both on the same package, and you get bonus tracks as well, which will have been singles at the time, I think. No, they're not. I'm talking rubbish again. He's gone into rubbish territory. So yeah, your bonus tracks are there's some outtakes actually on that first one by the look of it. So there is the Legacy CD, and you get, now that was the little bonus photograph. Either side of that was what was given away with the early copies of Elvis Country, and that is your Love Letters front cover. So great little package. This can still be picked up relatively easily, and nicely puts together a lot of the recordings from those sessions. Sound quality is pretty good on this one. So highly recommended package, this one, for a starting point for anyone, if we're not going down That's the Way It Is territory, but for anyone wanting to enjoy the music from those sessions, this is a fabulous starting place. I really do like these Legacy releases. You know, for mass market releases, they're really thoughtfully put together. They gather everything together in one nice, easily accessible place, and you get a nice little booklet full of information. So as a starting point, you can't really go wrong with the Legacy Edition. But if you want to go one up, then you do well to get yourself the FTD Classic Album release. And there's your track list. So lots of outtakes, lots of extra bits and pieces, bonus tracks. Really, really nice. Obviously, being FTD, increasingly harder to get hold of these, but well worth it if you can. Actually, they were going with slightly different middles on this. It's a solid rather than one with teeth. Seem to be a bit more reliable, actually. Don't think there's many with those though. So there's your booklet. Now, here's for the controversy. When I first had my first copy of Elvis Country in the 70s, I thought the tracks on it were mind-blowingly good and I loved it. But I didn't like the rather odd device they used of putting the track I Was Born About 10,000 Years Ago as snippets in between each of the other tracks. So for anyone that isn't familiar with the album, you'll get a track playing, and then where you'd normally get the gap in between, suddenly a bit of I Was Born About 10,000 Years Ago fades up, fades back down, and then goes into the next track. Now, you know, I don't want to be overly critical. Some people may think that's great. I never liked it. I thought it was a very, very strange gimmick. I still don't really understand why they did it. And I think, to me, it kind of distracts. You get a really nice track, say something like Tomorrow Never Comes. Beautiful, powerful, emotional track. And then kind of without, when that comes to and it kind of comes to a abrupt crescendo end, and then rather than a couple of minutes silence, just leaving, you get this rather distracting income, fade in, fade out. Another, I don't like it. I mean, let me know in the comments what you think, but I think it really ruins the atmosphere. I much prefer to hear that album with just the tracks as they are, and with I Was Born About 10,000 Years Ago as a separate track. But that device of filling the gaps with, no, I don't. I never liked it, and I still don't. Sorry, but no, I don't know. I can't work out why they thought that was a good idea. Do not know. Anyway, Love Letters. This is the FTD Classic Album version. As with the FTDs, you get the original album, you get your bonus cuts, you get your outtakes, selected outtakes, session outtakes and what have you, and undubbed masters. So lovely little package. See, look, that one's gone back to the, it's got the teeth rather than the solid middle. Absolutely fantastic. Usual high quality booklet. Look at that, how cool. As ever, signing autographs and making time for his fans. Yeah, Love Letters. Never saw it as the sort of poorer cousin at all. It was always was a real favourite of mine. Details about what you get. Great stuff. So while we're in the world of outtakes, let's look at some of the more mainstream outtakes that were available. So this was part of the Essential Elvis series. This was volume 4, titled 100 Years From Now. And this was a revelation at the time when I first got my hands on this, you know, just to hear all the different outtakes of songs that I'd grown up listening to and loving was superb. And this is still a bit of a go-to for me of picking up and listening to alternate versions of those songs. So yeah, this is fairly easy to pick up, and another one that I would highly recommend if you get the chance. Yes, it's been superseded with content with releases over the time, but I still think it stands up. Brilliant release, 100 Years From Now. And then the same sort of theme, there was the FTD single standalone release of the Nashville Marathon, which gave outtakes of those sessions. But being one of the early FTD releases, quite bare bones in its presentation, you didn't get a tremendous amount. No fancy booklets in those days until they expanded out a bit. And then I've got this little bootleg, and this says it's Elvis Life, the alternate Nashville recordings 1970 to 71. A great addition to the sensational albums from Elvis in Nashville and Back in Nashville, which we'll get to in a minute. So yeah, this is, it says promo. It says limited edition and says promo on it. It isn't a promo. I don't know why they do that. It's a bootleg. I'm not even sure what the label is. Promo limited edition. Did we have a look under the disc? Was there anything interesting under the disc? No. There is a tape box there, sort of underneath the purple, but nothing too exciting. Let's have a look what they give us. Did I show you the track list? I don't think I did. So there's your track list. So yeah, you get some various overdubs. You get different versions of First Time Ever I Saw Your Face. You get the duet with Ginger Halliday. So yeah, it's an interesting little release, no question. Look what we get in the booklet. I do like the fact that, you know, they've kept the theme of it with all those photographs of Elvis entering the studios, and then you can see him with the musicians. He's still wearing the same shirt and scarf that he had outside. Then you just get your track list, and then another shot of him arriving at the recordings. So this is it's a nice little alternative. It's funny really, because when I listened to this the first time, that the version of First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, I can see why they didn't go with it. You've also got the duet with Temple Riser on here as well. Both of them, I can see why they thought, no, that's not the way we want to go with that track. It doesn't really work. So yeah, the most recent release we've had from the 1970 Nashville sessions is from Elvis in Nashville. Came out in 2020, and what this does, it's been featured on a lot of channels, so I'm sure if you want a really in-depth delve into this, you can easily find that. But what this does is it strips away all the overdubs, so you get a real sense of just Elvis and his band in the studio. It's a purer version of that sound. And it was actually this, when this, just before it came out, they started releasing a few of the tracks in advance on streaming. And hearing these again, it was thanks to this release that all this is here. Because as I said in my very first episode, during COVID, I decided to fill this room with all the things that I'd either used to have or I'd seen and I wanted. But what sparked all that really, what reignited my interest in Elvis again and collecting Elvis again was this. You know, just hearing it blew me away. So I've got this to thank for all this and being here talking to you today. So yeah, this is a spectacular release. I cannot praise this high enough, and I revisit it time and time again. So you get 4 discs. Still pick this up brand new today. Yep, 4 discs with the tape boxes of the time. Slotted in there nicely. Nice booklet. I said this in the previous recording that, you know, we do get some fantastic stuff. There was a time, I think, when Elvis wasn't served particularly well as an artist. A lot of product from the official record company was just kind of knocked out and felt a bit like a cash-in, but ever since the likes of Ernst Jorgensen have been steering the ship, you know, the quality of the care that his back catalogue is treated with, I think is superb. Yeah, there are some mistakes made along the way. Some things creep through that shouldn't creep through, admittedly. But overall, I think we're served pretty darn well. I really do. So yeah, from Elvis in Nashville, absolutely brilliant release. As I said, it's been featured, done to death really on a lot of channels, but I can't really talk about the Nashville recordings without talking about this, because it's such an important release. To hear them stripped of their overdubs and you know, hear that sound as Elvis would have heard it while he was in the studio with his band. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then of course there's the vinyl version, which just gives you a selection of what you get on the box set. But the presentation of this is really nicely done. And then for the inner sleeves you get some nice information. Quite annoying that they're in these card inner sleeves and they don't put some anti-static in there, because these can give you a right old shock of static when you try and pull them out of the card inner sleeves are never great when it comes to building up static, but hey ho. Okay. Beautiful stuff. Elvis in Nashville. Slightly shorter episode than it would have been, or considerably shorter than it would have been if I'd have featured That's the Way It Is, which was obviously the first album that had recordings from the Nashville sessions, but we're going to get to that next time. What I'm going to do, I think next time, I'm going to talk about the various books and probably the Blu-ray itself of That's the Way It Is, the special edition next time, and then I'll finish up with all the various recordings from That's the Way It Is. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the little look at Elvis Country and Love Letters from Elvis, and if you did, please do click on the like, and if you haven't already, please do click on the subscribe. I upload new content every Sunday at 6 PM GMT, so you'll always know when to find me. So next time, on to That's the Way It Is, finally. Till then, take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. May God bless you. Adios.